Okay, now we're unmuted. We can be heard. Greetings and salutes, everyone. Welcome to Talkin' Tactical, episode 74, which is part 2 to the new series called The Council of Airsoft Dudes. Now, tonight we do have a couple of returning council members from the first episode. We have Cutter Airsoft right next to me. And for everybody here, their links will be in the description below. Go give them a subscribe and everything. And also, I'm giving a special shout out to Cutter because he is doing a patch raffle, and all proceeds are going to Veterans for Airsoft, a charity. So he is also giving away a custom built Cutter AK called the Operator AK. If you go over to his channel, again, link is down below. He's got the video up so you can shoot him a Venmo or whatever other links I don't remember off the top of my head that he's gotten there to get your patch, get your entry to get into the raffle to win the custom Operator AK by Cutter Airsoft. And trust me, his stuff is sweet. And then
just to let you know that the money raised is going to charity. It's going to Veterans for Airsoft. They're the guys that set up the battle in New Orleans.
Yes.
They're the one
yes.
that set up the one in Six Flags, Battle at Six Flags.
Yes. And then, run the other side of me, we have Plasma Dragon Airsoft. New to the Council of Airsoft Dudes, but not new to the channel. He's another stuck in the Midwest Iwegian Airsofter.
Not pretty much.
And you guys have seen him on the channel before. Glad to have you, bud. And returning from last time, we have Prime Tech Customs right below me. And then,
hello,
new to the channel for Council of Airsoft Dudes, call sign Queso himself from Airsoft GI. You know him, you love him. We got Isaiah in tonight. Thank you. So, tonight, guys, I called you all here to convene this council to discuss Airsoft Hot Takes and Unpopular Opinions. Because, let's get spicy. Because, one of you guys might have one that might get somebody to get in a little rat-tat-tat discussion with you. So, where we're going to get started is Prime Tech. Not going to call you out or anything, but you were late. So, you're first.
Putting me on the spotlight here. Yeesh.
Yeah, there you go. You all had homework.
All right, I guess in relation to like current events right now, hot take would be SIG is just as overrated in airsoft as it is in real life.
Okay. Okay, I don't know how this normally goes or what the format is.
Oh, go right ahead.
Prime Tech, thank you for saying that. I actually 100% agree with you, my man. I'm right there with you, dog.
Now, this is where I'm on the fence because my experience with SIG and Airsoft so far has been with Raven. My 226 is a Raven, which is superb. I absolutely love the thing, and the cool thing, like, it came with extra parts. It was only like $115 because I got it on sale, and when it wasn't on sale, it was like $120. But extra parts is in like novel spring and all that, and it performs fantastic. Actual SIG brand stuff, haven't gotten my hands on. The real life counterpart, I have gotten my hands on a couple real life SIGs. I wouldn't say overrated. I like them, but I haven't really had a whole lot of time to really weigh in either way. So, from my experience, I don't think it's overrated, but I can kind of see where it's coming from.
I think it really depends ultimately on the model. I mean, do you guys have experience with like both the real steel SIGs and then the airsoft stuff?
I've only ever fired a SIG 9mm pistol once, and it was because a buddy of mine bought it, and we took it to the range the day he actually picked it up. and I fired that. It was good. It worked for me. I didn't have any long exposure to it or use again. And I mean, I like the looks of SIG stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I think their price point's a little high. Like they think a little highly of themselves, but they do put a lot into their guns. So, but yeah, I definitely understand Prime Tech's take. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when it comes to SIG for me, I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with their airsoft products. They don't really have a whole lot, but they're obviously doing something right if they want to contract with the military for their standard issue rifles now,
Um,
which
it's they to correct on that.
I need to
It's
fix
their
this shit.
it's their rifles, their pistols, their LMGs. Like they got the whole contract across the board.
The
yeah,
whole
yeah.
nine
So
yards.
they're doing something right. I mean, there's a store not that far from where I live, and they have an XM7 for sale. So I've held it. I didn't shoot it,
Mhm.
but it's a beefy beast.
Yeah.
That's going to make the
So,
civilian market want it more, and that may make people want airsoft replicas of those exact replicas more.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
dude, like it's
I mean,
already
there's
been
already an
happening.
there's
Well-
already an XM7.
well, I'm still waiting on the airsoft world to catch up with SIG, with their new stuff. I'm still waiting for the XM250. Their new
You want to know something
249
crazy?
Their new 249.
The crazy part is that like, and again, this is again just the only reason I know this, just because I've actually gotten to see this shit, is like most of the stuff that we're like hoping that they make. Obviously, with the LMG, obviously that one's still in the works. I know for a fact that they're actually working on that one. Most of this, yeah, I know it's gonna be sick, dude, when it comes out. But most of the stuff, like it's already
There's
there.
that devilish little grin.
I know I'm getting one.
Oh,
But
oh,
all this stuff that we're talking about, like in terms of their rifles, all their pistols, like all that stuff has already been existed. Like the minute that the contracts like were won, the minute that the announcement were made that SIG won all these contracts, it was like next day we're seeing like all these different small boutique shops coming out with like gas blowback variants of
Mhm.
so many different types. Not even just the MWS clones, but just so many other versions that come homegrown stuff like. Imagine like Kyber Pass shit, but like really well put together, like really well made,
Mhm.
And these things go for a fucking premium. We're talking like minimum like $1,500 for like a rifle that you don't even really know if it's gonna work that well. But the market in Asia is just so freaking different.
It's like that.
Yeah.
That like that Toxicant XM7.
Yeah,
that-
Toxicant, exactly.
Yeah, and it doesn't even come with the barrel or the hop up. And
Nope.
And it's $1,500 or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
minimum
like
was starting at
1200.
$1,500.
And it
Wasn't
has to
like
be checked.
1200.
Mm-hmm. It
Yeah.
was because I mean I know for a fact I'm not gonna name drop any other like YouTubers, but I know there's a YouTuber out there that got an XM7, and like his current build is up to like $2,500 on that thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I know
no,
you're talking.
I think it really depends ultimately when we're talking about SIG being overrated. I'll be honest, I like as such a fucking cliche answer. I like old SIG shit. Like I really like
Yeah.
old SIG stuff, especially pistols. I thought their
yeah.
stuff was like fantastic. I mean, it was so trusted for so many years, right? I mean, you ask a lot of old heads in the SF community, like SIG was their guy, right? SIG was their go-to
Mhm.
for so many freaking years since like the late 80s, early 90s, I
Yeah,
believe.
and standard issue with the FBI still to this day.
Oh yeah. FBI. I completely forgot about the FBI, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's still in use there, right? Like, but I think a lot of the newer stuff, I think because of the contracts, it's just a little bit overhyped. And I'll say in
Mhm.
Airsoft, I'll be honest, I love the P320 platform. Like, I think it looks so sick, and it definitely has like a lot of potential, more so than people give it credit for. But out the box performance, I don't know if it's worth the price point if you're hoping to just buy it and never upgrade it.
And from what I have read online and heard and everything is because SIG is so specific with their licenses to be exactly accurate to the real world build, like even down to like the trigger grouping.
Yeah. Perfect 1-to-1.
I know when the SIG 320s first dropped, which adds to the overratedness with the price point because it's like what 260 still 240. for a 320. I'd have to look, but it's over $200.
Yeah, I don't remember the price off the top of my head.
Yeah, but it's like over $200 for the 320. And when they first dropped, because of the exact 1-to-1 match, they had the same issue that the first line SIG 320s had coming off the line with the trigger grouping and like nozzle explosions and stuff like that.
Yeah, the nozzle explosion was very common. We saw a lot of that with the CO2 mags.
As far as the airsoft stuff for SIG, I can't say anything about it. That's the one. That's the one manufacturer I haven't worked on yet. I've worked on 60 different guns, and never once worked on a SIG pistol or AEG. So I don't know. I can't speak to their quality. I've never taken them apart, so I haven't seen their guts. I haven't worked on them enough to speak. I mean, like I said, I think they look good. I haven't had a chance to either use or work on any of them yet.
Yeah, and like I said, my only airsoft experience with the actual SIG brand stuff is just handling it like at the airsoft store. But I have a Raven 226, which is a SIG 226 clone, and it's to scale and spec of the real deal. But and like I said, it performs great. I can't complain about it, but yet again, it's not a SIG technically.
Funny you mention that because I've been like relentlessly trying to look for that one.
Oh, dude.
Oh, the Vorsk one?
Yeah.
Or the Raven one.
Yeah,
but
it's same
kind of yeah, kind of in relation to like the whole like why I pretty much like pitched that whole idea, and I know Grim's on the chat, which funny enough, I used to have a SIG MCX. It was a pretty bare bones, and I mean like bare bones, like there was like hardly any internals in it or anything. And for me that was like one of my grails, right? Airsoft grails is to get an MCX, but like that price point was just way too high for an AEG that you have to put in work and everything. I got lucky and literally traded only a couple of parts for that thing. And I'm talking like piston bodies and maybe a gearbox shell.
Yeah,
I mean, the dude just like gave it to me. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Damn, how desperate was he to get rid of it?
Yeah, he was that desperate. But then after researching about like what I wanted to do to be where I wanted it to be, like my kind of like dream build, like it was just like financially it was gonna be pretty extensive, and it was gonna take a lot of modifications and a lot of wait time for like certain parts. And that's just getting it built. All right, I'm not talking about trial and error and how it performs. So that's a whole different shtick right there.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah. And from what's been going on as of right now, since I've entered into the kind of gas blowback rifle space, I already found my alternative. And to be honest, I like the amount comparing kind of. It's not really so much apples to oranges. It's literally like apples to apples. It's just which fuel are you gonna put in that thing. Honestly, it's worth the alternative compared to what's to what's being shown here at our stateside.
And like kind of like bouncing off of like where SIG can be overrated, and I can agree to a point with my experience with a different brand right now with H&K and Elite Force. I'm kind of mad at them.
Oof.
But
Shadow Queen.
But Shadow said the internals are quote unquote okay in his SIG conversion to an SMG because he has a M17 that he put into a kit that he got.
You know what? I think there's the easy way to summarize the MCX in like a nutshell. And PrimeTech, I'm so glad that you brought that gun up because that gun has been the source of so many headaches for me. From seeing how many of those we've had to like work on in the past. It's not even a bad gun. It's just when it came out, it's even then, at what, 2019, I think when it was released initially.
Yeah,
That gun, it,
Around there.
it was just, when it came out, it was outdated then.
Mm.
It's just outdated, it's like outdated. Like there's so much more value you can get in other brands, other models, that it just felt like, what exactly am I paying for? And trust me, I understand, the fee of licensing and everything. That totally makes sense. But come on, man. Like, that was one that I was always just looked at like, okay, but what exactly are you offering me here?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It, like,
It's it. We got FDE and we got gunmetal gray now. Like, yeah, but what else did you do?
Yeah, but what
Yeah.
else is there?
Did you update anything else?
No.
Is the MOSFET gonna last after
Yeah.
I put in that 11.1?
I don't know.
Did you put a shroud to cover my lipo in?
No, why would we do that?
Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, God, you just had to mention battery working when you plug it in 11.1 and just reminded me of the pain the other day. Oh, Isaiah, that delightful last unboxing I did where I got the display open box.
Yes.
So I went to go test it out after I did the
Okay.
unboxing video and everything. And
Oh, no.
my dumbass, after I found the listing, ECS gearbox, built-in MOSFET, I was like, yeah, no, cool, I'm good. Grab one of my 11.1s, plug it in, and start hearing sizzle.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Unplug very quickly, and now one of the prongs of the Tamiya connector melted through the side.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. I was
What
gonna
the
gut it.
fuck?
I was gonna gut it anyway, but I was like, that should have been able to take a 11.1 if it's got an ECS gearbox in it.
You said ECS, so
The
I'm assuming a Classic Army. What was it?
The Classic Army, key mod rail, full polymer body. Oh, I can't remember the model.
Oh,
off
like
the top of my head.
KM10, KM12?
Yeah, the KM10.
Okay, I have no idea, honestly, what goes in those. I've only seen, like, a few of those mystery boxes. Those are, like, okay, so for context, the only mystery boxes that I put together myself are going to be, obviously, my personal private collection mystery box.
Of course.
YouTube unboxing mystery box, accessories mystery box. I won't do Boaz unless he specifically asks me or tells me what he wants inside that box. He has to read the request himself. But generally speaking, all the other ones, I have no idea what's in those. That's why I'm always curious. Like, what'd you get? I have no idea what's in that.
Yeah, no, and I totally get it. And I'm not trying to, like, say you guys sent me a gun that fried. No, not at all. Like, I'm the dumbass. I should have used a 7.4.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right, though. You're absolutely right.
Okay,
Yes, like,
argumentatively.
No, you're good. You're good.
Argumentatively,
No, I didn't take it like that.
argumentatively, yeah, you got a display.
Yeah, no.
Display.
Dude,
Hey, man.
I got it came with a really awesome foregrip on it and a EOTech clone pec box. So cool. And it's a solid body, even though it's all polymer with a gross key mod rail.
Guys, I swear, I don't have a gun to Squirrely's head right now. I swear. No, I was just more surprised because I was like, I've never had that issue with an ECS from Classic Army before.
Yeah,
I've
no,
never had a fry or sizzle.
Well, and I'm still, I've returned to the airsoft game like just a little over 2 years ago, so there's still like maybe a wire or something jostled loose and could have been shorted out, or I literally, like, it didn't have a MOSFET in it, and I just the 11.1 was way too much.
Jeez, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but I was like,
I love the
well,
MOSFET ones.
yeah, I'll figure it out when I pull it apart.
It's there
going back to
sometimes, but
Go for it,
go
Prime.
ahead.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Oh well, like, to be fair, it's very rare at times, but there could be there is sometimes a QC error in the soldering
Mhm.
for some of those MOSFETs. It could have been that as soon as you plugged in that 11.1, like, so much power went through that wire that it desoldered it from the board.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
Fucking crazy.
Could be.
But yeah, going back to the SIG topic, two things I wanted to ask. Number one, Cutter, have you ever worked on those MCXs before, or no?
No, that's what I was saying earlier. I've never worked on a SIG, either a pistol or an AEG. I actually have I like build a cart and then I take a screenshot and I put it in a folder called prototype. So I might build that to sell it, or I might talk somebody into that in their next build, because 95% of my clients have chosen the mystery box thing where they tell me they want an AK or an M4, and then they're just like, here's the money, go nuts. So, but I've never had a chance to do it on either of those.
I'm just really curious to see what you would be able to do with one of those. Like, I'm just very curious to see.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, me personally, off the top of my head, I would actually put a collapsible stock on it and put it so that it's wired to the rear. That's one thing I would change on it. And then you could change out whatever collapsible stock you have on the buffer tube.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one little thing I might think to do to it. But other than that, I mean, I think it looks cool. I might actually make a small battery case that fits up inside, so you don't see the wires and you don't see the labeling on the battery through the holes in the side of the handrail. I mean, little stuff like that, which I'm surprised they don't do. But I mean, it'd be a simple little plastic, something that clips to the bottom of the barrel that holds the battery, so it kind of hides it, so it all looks color in there.
I'm surprised they never made a dedicated battery for the handguard.
Yeah, seriously, VSD has the connections.
And that goes, and that's just beyond SIG too, because there's a couple other brands that do that specialty, like front wired weird handguard thing, and it's so infuriating.
or they have a PDW stock, and now trying to find a battery that fits in. Some of those PDW stocks are so small. It's like, what battery are you putting? And nothing looks better than a PDW stock without the cap on and the battery sticking out and the wires being held on by the actual stock itself. That looks horrible. And you can lose your battery.
Yep.
This Cutter saying that, I'm like looking at like the Arcturus PDW, and then I'm looking at my freaking ghetto blaster. I'm like, I love you, babe. I love you, GB. I love you. you. That's why you're on the floor.
Dude, I fucking hate those PDW stocks so much, dude. You gave me trauma, because like 2017, that was all the fucking rage. Everyone and their moms was putting PDW stocks on like full length M16s, carbine length guns, and then after they had it installed, then they're like, oh, where do I put the battery? And I'm like, I want to strangle you.
Only one of my guns has a PDW stock on it, and it came with it.
Isn't that the one that you HPA'd?
No, that's my Lancer.
Oh, okay.
That has a drop stock on it.
Oh, gross.
I took the G&G SSG drop stock and put it on that.
Oh.
Here's the thing. Enough people were doing it. I won't say gross, because enough people were probably doing that.
Real small tangent. Huge G&G fanboy. I mean, that right there is my. I don't know if you can see it, but that's my PDW 15 by G&G. Their Honey Badger, all done up, and I've done a lot of. But when G&G came out with that, I just. Why? What is that?
I understand the purpose, but it looks terrible.
Yeah.
Actually, that kind of leads into a hot take that I had personally about.
All right.
I don't know. This one might get me in trouble a little bit, but I'm feeling a little spicy, so why not? And I have a feeling that this one might actually make you, Cutter, a little bit mad.
Oh.
Do it.
Oh.
Do it.
Okay. This is coming from, bear in mind, I have to full disclosure, because I am who I work for where I work. This is not reflective of Airsoft GI. This is reflective of my personal opinion only.
Yes.
But with that being said, dude, G&G is not as good as everyone thinks they are. I'm very real. G&G is not as good as they think they are. And I know the community. I know you.
I've opened them up, and I had to open up an ARP9 2.0. And when I got it all open, I was like, "What is it?" I thought somebody swapped a gearbox. It was that, not to G&G specs like I thought it should be. And I was just looking at the parts. It was like, these are, excuse my garbage. I think some of their QC and they still have real nice externals, but they're going down in internals, I think, to save money. And it's going to cost them their name. I mean, look at APS. APS makes gorgeous stuff on the outside, but their internals are garbage.
Oh, they're gone.
I've
APS
only-
is done.
Yeah, see, there
Yeah,
you go.
I've-
I mean, the airsoft world is not fickle. If the whole wave decides, nope, you're not good, you're gone, man. And airsofters are brutal. Your
they
stuff doesn't
are.
work right, everybody will know it. There's Reddits, there's Discords, everybody does unboxing videos and review videos. And if you get more than 4 or 5 airsofters saying your stuff's garbage, I mean, Lancer pulled themselves out of that. Lance Tech
Yeah, I was
pulled
gonna
themselves
say.
out of that, okay?
Yeah, I
And
was
they're
gonna say
doing great
Lancer would be
now.
an exception. And no.
Yeah, they definitely listen to everybody. Like back in the day when Airsoft GI, Cisco had I think it was the president or one of the guys from Lancer on,
president of
and he
sales.
had him on in a live. People were talking to him live and asking questions. I'm like, wow, that's taking a chance. But he listened to everybody, and now you got the Gen 4 and the Mach 3 Honey Badger, and they're phenomenal. So they definitely pulled themselves out of it. But like you just said, APS, everybody said, there was all different acronyms that they used APS for different
Oh,
things.
yeah.
But basically, all parts shit. That was
APS
and now they're not around
APS has
anymore
been-
because of it.
APS has been pushed away from airsoft so far that they are relying on the Gel Blaster community.
Yeah, they are. It's so crazy, man.
That's insane.
I
And
shit you not. That's the only way that they're gaining any sort of income.
It's like getting kicked out of a biker gang and having to drive a Vespa.
and with both with Isaiah's, with you dropping the G&G hot take, and Prime Tech starting with the SIG hot take, I might as well just combine
Go.
both of
Lay it
both
on
of
us.
combine both of these hot takes into one of amorphous blob of hot take towards larger scale licensed retailers are overselling a lot of their guns. Because, like I mentioned earlier, I have an issue with Elite Force and H&K right now. Because I have an MP5 SD6. Full metal. It retails for $340. It is not a VFC, mind you. But after I gutted the gearbox to rebuild it and found casting imperfections and the fact that the internal gearbox is A&K spec, so it had brass gears, there was no air seal whatsoever, and it had a clear nozzle.
What the hell?
Yeah. I was lucky that thing fired when I tested it before I gutted it.
Yikes.
Okay, now I'm confused as to which one it actually was. It wasn't the it was the SD6 when you bought it, right? It wasn't the A4.
No, it's the SD6 full metal model.
Okay, because when you said like it was 300 something, I was like that should be the VFC one, but the SD6, I didn't know who the OEM was on that one. And now it makes me think that it might be SEMA.
But yeah, it had brass gears internal. It all the like tappet plate and stuff. It was all blue. But
So like how like they came out with that special edition with the red trigger?
yeah,
Yes.
There was a lot of speculation that it was just a SEMA, is it what do they call it? The SEMA high speed model.
mm-hmm.
That they just jacked up the price and did the anodizing on the trigger.
Yeah.
Someone that actually took it apart was so surprised that it was far from even being a SEMA internally, that it like I think still to this day it's like kind of like up into debate as to who the OEM for these kind of competition grade or even like these newer limited edition like MP5s are being made from. And now that you say that A&K, it's very close, if not it's literally like stamped A&K, I wouldn't put it past it. A&K, and I delve super deep into this freaking rabbit hole. Yeah, I delved super deep after like taking apart the Battle Axe 308.
Oh
I'm like, all right, A&K OEM set. Isaiah's, by the way.
Yeah. No, I knew that
And,
those
and
bad
it, no,
boys were
and,
ANK made.
no, the replica doesn't hide it. As soon as you remove the gearbox, it has A and K slapped
Yeah.
on the
Oh,
lower
wow.
receiver.
Well, and the flip side to this, where it's also kind of like the slap in the face of like overcharging. Now, I also have an H&K 416. Now,
Sure.
mind you, I got it used out of $100 used mystery box, but
Nice.
it's still in great shape. Like, it's got a ridiculously awesome air seal, and it's like chronoing at 1.7 joule right now. But it's fantastic. But it's the VFC spec, and that thing retails brand new for like $550.
Yeah, almost. I was just looking at him the other day.
And but if you want quality plus license, you have to pay even more money.
Mm-hmm.
You know who actually makes like a genuinely really like no bullshit, like who actually makes a really good like MP5, or I'm sorry, I can't say legally speaking, not an MP5 licensed clone.
Yeah.
But who makes a really
MP5?
good very close look-alike. Oddly enough, even though I just said my piece on them, G&G. Anyone remember their PM5? Them
Mhm.
shits were awesome. I have one.
Yeah, but also in the same coin, I have overlooked G&G intentionally just because of their pricing model. They're ridiculously
fair.
overpriced.
Yeah,
in my
no,
money.
this was old G&G. This is old G&G.
Yeah.
This was pre. Well, when that gun came out. This was like their electric blowback
Oh, wow.
MP5 that they had. Yeah, no, this thing is awesome. I think brand new retail at most, I think, was like $315, which I
Okay.
get it. Obviously, at the time was a little pricey, but it was worth it. It actually felt like it was really well put together, and the electric blowback on that one was really pronounced and cool.
But like, how was it that you could search for it like before licensing were a thing? You had to like search for it as a like mod 5 or something.
Yeah.
MK5, yeah,
MOD5.
you have to use MK5.
MK5 or mod 5 in like other places.
Yeah. But well, let's jump over to another hot take. Plasma, what did you bring for your selection?
I don't know if this is so much a hot take than it is just me kind of ranting, because I went to a field not too long ago and had an experience. Not a good one, but an
Oh, I was about to
experience.
say.
So
Okay.
I think so. Everybody knows that cheaters, no hit callers, whatever, is pretty detrimental to the sport.
Yes.
I would say that referees that are lazy and don't do their job are just
Whoa.
as, if not worse. Because I'm not going to name where we went. I'm not going to name where we went, but we went to a field on Saturday, and there was a group of rentals that were there. And, granted, maybe they've never played before, but while we were out on the field, we had to tell them 6 or 7 times to keep their mask on. They kept taking their mask off on the field. They were in the staging area with their magazines in, with their barrel covers off, and at one point, one of them ran up and started shooting at his friend's legs.
Eesh.
And we were sitting right in front of them, or they were sitting behind us. So we were all wearing our goggles in the staging area because we were afraid we were going to get shot. And I went and spoke to the ref about it, and I was like, "Hey, this is ridiculous." And he was like, "Oh yeah, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't ban him. I can't do anything." So I stopped playing.
What's the point of you being?
I call bullshit.
Yeah,
I call
That's
I
bullshit.
packed up.
bullshit.
Yeah,
I packed up.
I want to give the benefit of the doubt to the employee, because I'm just thinking, okay, maybe he's tried. I don't know. Maybe let's say that he's tried before in the past. Like, I'm sure you're like most guys that I meet that are refs are pretty on top of it. Granted, that could be like maybe a regional thing or just person to person. But maybe he has tried saying something and just upper management was like, yeah, you can't do anything. Maybe that's
Yeah,
an
no,
issue
it's
with upper
definitely
management at that point.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. And you can even say like, that goes back to the owner as well. Just like, owners that don't care about their fields or don't care about their players, it's equally detrimental. But the thing too was I went to Nashville Airsoft with Paul, and that was back in at the end of December. And there was one kid that had an issue with the referees immediately dealt with it, and it was great. But there were a number of bannable offenses that these kids were doing, and they didn't do anything about it. They didn't have a talk with these kids. Like, they didn't do anything.
Did
It
they
was
do a
us,
briefing
the
at all at the beginning of
players.
the day?
They did, but they weren't there for it.
Oh, okay.
They showed up towards the end of the game day, but it was us, the players, that were like, hey, put your mask on. You're going to get shot in the eye. And we had, like I said, I lost count after like 6 or 7 times that we had to tell them that.
Fuck.
And they didn't do anything about it. So, yeah, I packed up my stuff. I stopped playing.
And you know, this where I call bullshit on him not being able to do anything. Now, most places, especially in the Midwest area, I know state by state basis, they have to be insured to have airsoft.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact staging area is listed as a non-fire zone, even for insurance purposes.
Yeah,
So,
everywhere. Every field should be.
Yep. So them firing in the staging area is an instant kick ban, goodbye, no refund on your money.
Yeah, your ass is grass.
You violated
At least
the rules.
at
You're
least
causing
at
it.
the very least the day.
You're causing an insurance liability. I don't care that you're 10. You're out. Like.
Yeah,
It's like
and there was one other thing
when you
too.
flag at the range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was one other thing too that really pissed me off. There was one of the field regulars that was there, and I know he was a regular because the ref knew him by name. He was sitting right next to us, so obviously he saw everything that was going on. All of us were yelling at these kids to, put your barrel covers back on, quit shooting in the staging area, take your mags out of your guns, and they would just keep doing it over and over again. But one of these regulars walks up to him and is like showing him his pistol. He's trying to be like that cool guy, like, yeah, look at all my gear I got, whatever. Handed him the loaded pistol, and the kids started shooting the pistol into the dirt in the staging area once again. No masks, no nothing. So it's like, then, there's this, like, usually from what I noticed, when you have a field regular that plays somewhere a lot, they almost become like part of the staff. They know the rules, they know the layout, they know everything like that. And they like to help out, their fellow airsofters, whether they're new or whatever. And he just wasn't that. He was like instigating it almost.
And and this is not the first time I've heard of bad reffing or managerial things on how fields are run, because I've heard in talking with people on Discord in other states of airsoft fields that people go out and they'll crank up their tanks on their HPAs and they won't say anything.
Mm.
They don't clean or clear the field at the end of day, or try to clean up some of the BBs. So places that have stairwells and stuff have mountains of BBs on stairs, causing a tripping hazard.
It's either BBs or paint, honestly, if they have to share a field with paintball. That one, I get that one. That one's rough.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can do something. I don't know if you guys have ever played like West Coast, but my local field that I used to grow up playing at, Hollywood Sports, they have like some 2-story buildings that, I remember growing up playing and being able to go and actually use these whole sections of the map. But because they are so filled with so much paint and they have let it go by being uncleaned for years, it is a safety hazard. No one is allowed to go in there. Completely taped it off. So it just feels like, okay, I'm paying, the added price now. I get it. Inflation, right? You got to pay your staffing. I get that. But, you're also not giving me a full field to play with here.
Yeah, you're paying more for less.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, to coin like a proof of concept of like things that do it right, unfortunately, I hear more bad things come out of smaller fields, which is terrible for the community. But
yeah, I don't want to say anything bad about a field.
No, it's awful, but it's almost garnered me to the point of like, because I try to travel for the channel, and I've even talked about this with a couple other team members of, when we hear about a bad field, do we plan a trip? Do we go intentionally, like, to check them out and just go play a game in the most polite manner and see if all these things actually happen and call them out on YouTube?
That actually sounds like a very clickbait title. I can see the intro now. What's going on, dude? Me and my boys are heading out to the worst airsoft field in all of the United States and see if it's really that bad.
Yeah, like
It's like those people that go to like the old like Hell's Kitchen restaurants
Yeah.
like when they've been to.
But I mean, but I personally am curious to like, is it just like a one time thing? Was it just a fluke, or is it seriously as bad as they say it is? And
Could the ref been friends with those guys? Is it? I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think
You know,
it would
carte blanche.
probably, I think it would probably help, like, not not like calling them out and calling them terrible and all that. Just be like, okay, these are the things that they're doing wrong. These are the things that they can improve, and not be total like assholes about it.
Yeah, it's ultimately going to depend on them and how they want to take it, right? I mean, you could be upfront and honest about it, like, hey, I'm going to be filming my experience here, or if they already have an open. I think actually that should be the thing. You shouldn't tell any of the staff that you're recording unless they obviously have a requirement for it in the rules or something. Because if you tell staff that you're going to be there to film, they might try to change the way that they
180.
act.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and this is where me as I am the YouTuber, unless it's like a large scale event where it's obvious they don't care, they do press and blah blah blah. Like usually when I go to local fields, I ask if it's okay if I film. But flip side to that, I know here in my state, I don't have to because of state laws on recording. So in order to do that
Same here in
recon,
Florida, count as a public place. Sorry.
but depending on where you travel, check on your state laws to see if you have to even say anything so you can get away with that. Oh, I'm just going to, they probably. And plus, you can also look around and see if they got other people there prepping their gear that have recording implements on as well. But it also, like, could help in the instance of if they catch you recording and they try to call you out on it, is to know, like, your stance legally. Because, like I said, I travel, so it's, out of state stuff going down.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I always worry that if like you tell someone that you're recording, they might just like, you know how it'd be. You can tell the owner, for example, or staff, and they spread the words like, hey, we got to make sure we're on our best behavior. We got to change this, or don't show them X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's
You
the way I
flip the
saw it.
switch.
Exactly.
Yep, and that's why I honestly would love to go with that idea, but it's, and I agree, it is kind of more of a rant, but can be I consider this a hot take just because it's one of those things that I don't think people. Yes, we get those clickbait videos of cheaters, refs not doing anything like that, but at the same time, it's not being talked about as a serious problem because.
No, yeah, I get it.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the first
putting
time,
field's
like-
liability.
Sorry.
You're putting the field's liability on the line. If you're a bad
Yeah.
ref, it's like you don't care about your job. It's like you realize you could lose your job because this place shuts down because you allow stuff like that to happen.
As a ref,
I think their staff needs to have a better understanding. That particular field, their staff needs to have a better understanding of what their job entails and why it entails that. It's for the betterment of everybody, both the people coming to the field and all the other people that work there.
I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like, if you have a ref that ultimately doesn't care about doing his job, you have a ref that doesn't care about your safety.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it all is.
Yeah.
I don't know when it starts being that your customers, your regulars are doing the job for you.
That's bad.
Then obviously that's
Oh.
already a negative.
I can tell you there is there's two fields here that I can go to, and one of them I went to once, and personally, I mean, I'm just not okay with the fact of there was no refs on the field
What?
at all.
Like, did you have to pay for entry into this place?
Yeah, paid for entry. They also
That.
No.
But there was no refs on the field. There was one of the players' friends was doing timekeeping, and we would all like community vote on the game mode, and pick our own teams to do the team captain thing, and then go out and then just play. So there was nobody actually monitoring to make sure people were calling hits and following the rules and.
No.
You should slap a walk-ins welcome sign like outside of that.
We had
I mean-
a similar instance to that when we went to Pekin,
Yeah.
except This place was weird. So we showed up at Pekin. This is a paintball field out in Illinois. They completely lost their entire airsoft player base because they now their insurance requires everybody to wear paintball masks, regardless if you are playing airsoft or
Oh,
paintball.
hell no.
So I had to rent one of those $5 paintball masks, and it wasn't terrible. But we get up there, and I'm like, I've got my rifle, and I'm like, all right, so where's Chrono? And they're like, oh, we don't Chrono.
What?
There was no Chrono. We did not Chrono our guns.
Oh no.
We just and then we went out there. They took us out to the field we were playing at, and we're like, all right, so like, what are the rules? What's going on? The referee like didn't say a word to us. We start playing, whatever. Like 15 minutes go by, and it's like, when is this game gonna end? Like one of our guys ended up calling the game off. No, he didn't call the game. He called start. He was like, ready, set, go. We all ran out there, start playing, and that was it. And then we didn't hear him. So one of our guys goes up to him and he's like, hey, do you just want me to call the game off? And he was like, yeah, sure.
What the fuck?
So yeah, but the plus side to that being because they've completely lost their player base of airsofters, our group that went were the only airsofters there. Like there was nobody else there except for paintball players, and they don't mix paintball and airsoft, obviously. So it was like we were all just playing with and against each other. So that was about the redeeming quality of it. We went again, I think sometime, not last year, maybe it was the year before, and it was better when we went the second time, but there was still no Chrono. So I think, because I went with Paul, Odin, he has his own Chrono, so he might have brought his own Chrono. I don't remember if he did or not, but we just kept it like 1.5 and below, and just had a good time with each other. So
I'm sorry that I like to think that I can trust my fellow airsofters, but I know some of my no offense, Cutter, but I know some techs out there that take FPS limits. They take that as a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a limit, guys, not a goal.
Well, I think Brock, the first time we went, he had like a gas blowback AK, and it shot like fucking over 2 joules, I think.
What's the one on the wall that you're pointing out, Cutter?
That's Bad Baby. That's had every tip and trick done to it. It has a 175 spring in it, and at last chrono test, it was shooting .32s at 630 FPS. That's not field legal anywhere in the world.
That's probably not legal in California.
No, that's legal in Philippines.
You're probably right.
Let's be real, there isn't much legal here.
Yeah, that's why I don't live there. I can't show it on right now, but I've been working on building a real gun, so.
Oh, yeah.
I can't show that on there, but.
No.
No, yeah.
How do you do, fellow 2A advocate? Say, would you like to see your SDRs?
But I can do that here is my point.
Yeah. But speaking of California,
how's it feel to actually SBR in airsoft, but you can't do that in real life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of California, and to testament to traveling for airsoft and things, still plans are in the works that mid to late October, I will be heading out the Cali way.
Nice.
Hey.
And yes, I am going to, because my mom is out in California, and I'm going to go visit my mama. Got to go do that. But I will be making the trek down to the GI way, because also, Isaias, we transferred said duel from rubber knives to lightsabers, so I'm.
Yes, I forgot about this. Yes,
I'm bringing my lightsaber with me.
Okay, not to brag. There's a reason why I bench as much as I do. I break sabers with one swing, dog.
Just imagine you show up at GI, you enter the doors into the showroom, and then you start healing Duel of Fates play.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that with my saber.
Yeah, dude. Let me know when maybe 2 weeks before you're able to pull through. just so that I can like try to get like the boys to come out. We can probably all head out to Wildlands or something.
Well, yeah, and I've been talking with a few people out that way about it already. There's a few that know Casper, Dark Tree, Akerite.
Yeah.
You know, and they know I'm heading out. And I'm already talking. There's guys that are already saying that I can borrow guns and gear, and I do want to try to at least hit one game while I'm out there as well. So yeah, I am definitely down to like try to get a hold of everybody as possible, and then we all just fucking head out with the boys and play some airsoft.
Hell yeah! If on that note, if you do need to borrow any sort of gear or guns, by all means, you're more than welcome to. I have enough. I feel like it's concerning because I find myself becoming Cisco more and more in terms of just small things I do. I have a full garage full of shit now of like enough guns and gear to like supply a small shop for like a few months.
Yeah.
I should probably move it.
Yeah, I mean,
God forbid someone raids your home and then they're gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Exactly.
I do, and I appreciate that, and I've had offers from other people out that way as well, and which is awesome that I can say for the airsoft community that I have friends all over the place that are willing to lend me gear. But I do plan on bringing at least my own plate carrier and my helmet for recording purposes for the helmet, because that's just formed to my head just right.
Squirrel, do you use a run cam when you record?
No, I do not use a run cam. I just got my GoPro.
Okay.
Okay, so kind of referring back to Isaiah's little quip on like, kind of calling out us texts.
Oh.
Hey, sometimes we build these things and there's some black voodoo magic that goes on that it works way better or it performs way more than what we expect, okay?
Okay.
Believe it or not, sometimes we do it so we realize what we need to do to possibly, like if there's 6 different points that you can increase airflow, BB, all that stuff, you might only need one of those things for a particular build because if you do all 6 of those things to that build, you're never going to get it on a field.
Yeah, no, I get R&D.
It's one of those that the addition of the parts is bigger than their individual. I can never remember that saying, but you know what I mean. It's like parts. Yeah, you put 5 number 1s together and you end up with 10, and it just the way they all work together. And I mean, I've got a couple builds like that. My MG4 sounds like an
mechanics,
HDA.
The mechanic lore, where if you put in and you have extra screws, you probably built it better than the manufacturer.
That's right. That is 100% correct. Yes. I can say that from professional experience.
I'm not even gearbox, that may not be so good.
I'm not even joking. Like as good as the MGC4s are, and don't get me wrong, like, I fucking love those guns, like genuinely with all my heart. I had my buddy Whiskey. You got, I've had him on the channel before. Lance Tactical Anthony.
Yeah.
I've had him before, and he looked at the internals because the way he like techs, he's always been what if I didn't have enough money for like all these Gucci parts, how can I make these parts work? I let him just fuck around with an MGC4 once, right? It was my personal one. So I was like, here, go for it. Go do what you want to do. I trust you. And he's like, dude, the parts in this thing like are fucking nuts. I can he made it sound like an HPA gun, and I only spent like, I don't know, $20 for like food, for labor for him to do it. He didn't change any of the internals whatsoever on that thing. I was genuinely like, holy shit. Now it makes me wonder too, like when they're designing, like we chose the parts that went into it, yeah. But now I'm thinking like, I wonder if we were to get someone like Cutter or you, Prime Tech, if you were to have access to the factories, right, the entire inventory of all their components, I just want to know like how crazy of a build you guys would fucking make.
I
don't
you want A10 or do you want the?
Don't say that, Isaiah. If you can't make it happen, don't say it.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't give me hope.
Don't tease him like that.
You would need the Budweiser Clydesdales to drag me out of that factory. No, I can build it.
And I can say from my own
Let me in.
I can say from my own personal experience with now I tech my own stuff. I'm glad I've learned it to the point where I know exactly what to put in it to make it do what I want.
Yes.
That's a skill, man. I still don't even have that.
I have a formula / recipe that I use in a lot of my builds, and sometimes I got to tweak it a little bit here and there for a particular gun. But it's worked pretty well so far. And like I was saying, my MGC4 Mark One, I had to leave the gear set the way it was because that has to do with the first Nebula MOSFET that's in it.
Yeah.
And but that was about it. Everything else pretty much got replaced, but I shimmed everything right, and now when I fire it, one of the guys, I just went last Saturday to our local field, and I fired it with somebody right next to me, and he said, "Where's your tank?" I said, "It's not HPA, it's an AEG." Because all you heard was the piston head pop the cylinder head, and that's it. So all you heard was that thump 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 that you hear from an HPA.
That's so good.
Oh,
So you say that, Cutter, and then I'm like thinking back, or rather, I'm thinking about like my custom Archon that I had like bought from like GI from like say like probably 2, maybe 3 Decembers ago. I'm not sure. And like now the way that I have it, it's a 1301 build with a 22 TPA motor, like neodymium magnets. Like that thing is strong. Damn, I take that to the field, and I'm just like test ranging with the like because I put in the unicorn booking, which I mean I'll say it's pretty good with the stock barrel. Like I switched it to full auto. All you hear,
Oh no.
and then like everyone the whole the whole little field, like the staging area, like stops. It's silent, and even like the guy that like owns the little like ranchito that I go to or
Oh
like,
yeah.
went to, he's like, "What is that?" I was like, "Oh, I built this."
No,
You built that?
I get that. I get that a lot at my field. And real quick to go back to the field, you had a bad experience this last Saturday. There was a group of people that was like 4 or 5 people, and they were overshooting and stuff like that. And even the people on their team called them out to the refs, and they were kicked out before lunch. So there are fields
Yeah.
out there that are good that do
Yeah.
and reps and the guy that owns the field, I'll even give him a plug. It's Black Tiger Airsoft. It's over in Brandon, Florida, on the other side of the bay from me, and it's worth the drive because he's got a great little shop. They put on a great lunch.
Yeah.
They're safe and they don't put up with any of that.
I think he follows
You
us.
know, any behavior like that. They do a great job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You said it's Black Tiger Airsoft?
Yeah.
Okay, that is a 20-hour drive.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
In
Hey.
Florida.
Hey, Plasma, if I can drive through a hurricane to make it to South Carolina to make an event,
Yeah.
you can do 20 hours.
Dude, I drove to Nashville without phone service, okay? I felt like I was living in the 90s. I read a book.
Hey, I grew up in the 90s.
Actually-
my closest experience to not having service while making a trip from an airsoft was literally getting back from like the field was like about like I would say about 2 hours and 40 minutes. For that amount of time, I was without service. I was driving through back roads in a little Fiat SUV. So imagine just this little Fiat driving down back roads, no lights whatsoever. I was relying solely on my headlights and the high beams.
Bro, that's
Wow.
some
For
slender.
nearly 3 hours. I was like
That's
waiting for either a
horrific.
deer or waiting for someone to just pop out. I was like, "What are you doing here?"
Well, and you know, yeah, that's fun. I'm not gonna. That trip to South Carolina though. Talking about no service. Let's see what.
Actually,
what was
since we're talking about like the tech stuff, like I actually had another hot take, and I'm actually very curious, specifically with you, Prime Tech, and Cutter, what you guys had to say. If it's okay for me to introduce one.
No, go right ahead. I would. Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
And again, this is just my opinion, not reflective of Airsoft GI. This is just me as a person, and from what I've seen, helping customers out in storefront, helping people out online. Well, I get the feeling that airsofters now, and I'm gonna call out the community as itself. I feel like airsofters now are. I hate to use the word, but I feel like there's really no other term to describe it. I feel like airsofters now are way lazier than they were back, like even I would say like 6 years ago. And the reason why I say that is because the amount of people that come up to us, right, and are asking us, "Oh, which handguard will work on my gun?" Right, and it's like a basic M4A1, and it's like, "Will this one work?" And I'm like, I mean, it says it's for M4A1." And don't get me wrong, I understand like fitment and all that stuff, but they're not even asking about that. They're just asking, "Will this work for my gun?" And they'll ask, like, give me a list of like 10 or so different parts. And if they're absolutely new, sure, I get it. But these are some of the guys that have been here for like maybe at minimum a year, or some of them, oddly enough, are also real gun guys too. But no one wants to know how to like troubleshoot their stuff. No one wants to learn how to fix their guns. I don't know. That's something I've kind of felt.
You know, I can hop
Contact
on.
and iron work.
You know, it's not just
You could be a gunsmith, but sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's, and I don't, and I think I can throw in with this. It's not just teching because of the amount of lives that I go in, and not just like GI lives. And this is like
throughout the community,
across the community and all retailers as a whole. But with them being lazy, people that hop into lives and essentially ask you guys to shop for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
They don't want to do the research. They don't want to do the research. They just want the quick answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also don't want to let make people think that I'm like, oh, I hate helping out new people. Trust me.
No.
If I really hated helping out new people, I wouldn't be doing the fucking live streams. You know what I mean? Like I do this because I really want people to have a good experience. I don't want people to have the same experience that I did growing up playing Airsoft, because that shit was traumatic, and I do not want anyone else to have to go through that ever in human history. But with that being said, I also feel like people just really don't do any kind of research whatsoever.
Exactly.
Or their research is, I saw a video of this once, and it was like, okay, have you seen any other videos?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and with the teching side of it, like you mentioned, I know plenty and talk to plenty of airsofters that it's like, yeah, I bought this. What's in it? I don't know. It's custom though. What'd they do to it? I don't know.
Brother.
Or they do zero research on the gun, and they go, "I want to put a 45K motor in this." You're building a bomb. Right? You realize you're building a bomb.
Honestly, you'd be surprised at how many how do I say this? Basically, how much gore I've seen with people that have probably shelled out like a good maybe 1,200 to 1,500 on some builds, and it is insane the amount of like I said, the amount of gore you see in those like gearboxes. That you can tell like that, like whoever worked on it cut corners and didn't say anything, or like some of my other like colleagues, like in some of my like circles and all that.
Yeah.
They're like, bro, like there's a lot. There's like about maybe 80% of this list that is non-existent in this build.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, you're talking about like a build that, you know, the quote unquote tech is like, you know, selling these things for about 1,200 to 1,500.
What a scumbag.
Yeah, and I've heard complaints of customs from retailers while we're at one of their events.
Yeah. No, we've had our fair share of complaints as well, even about our customs. But here's what I will say about that in general too, right? Usually, when we make a custom, we'll tell people, you know, hey, this is what we're trying to put into it. These are the specs we're going for. Sometimes we can't always. I'll give credit to other retail shops too, because I get it. One batch of, say, like, I don't know, I'll throw in a ZC Leopard 16-1 gears, right? You could have two of the exact same part number. It should have come from the exact same factory. Should be the same everything, right? Depending on when they were made, they can be completely different, right? One batch of
you
parts.
can get lemons.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly, right? One batch can be completely different from the next. One batch can be absolutely goated, near indestructible, and the next batch is like, okay, within like 1,000 rounds, like it fucking strips, right?
Mhm.
So I get it, right? You kind of have to work with what you're given, and you kind of have to like trial everything that you do in terms of customs. But I also feel like the people that are buying a lot of the customs too don't always do the work in terms of like understanding what it is that they buy. This will be
Mhm.
like their first gun they ever buy, and they just bought it because they're like, oh yeah, I thought it looked cool, and they don't want to do any research or any homework in understanding what it is that they have or what they have, what it's capable of doing.
And that style of purchase, I think, also falls under the camp of they think that how much money they're spending is going to make them a better player.
Big money
Yeah.
equals better skills.
No.
Yep.
That's a big thing. I
I-
remember talking to Paul about that.
Yeah. Because like
Kind of referring to the lemon rate. Sorry.
Yeah.
But just wanting to just put this out like real quick. Talking about like the whole lemon rate. It doesn't just happen to like these companies like ZCI or ZC Leopard as you refer them. It also does even happen to the quote unquote higher tier
Oh yeah.
companies like PTS. They had a
Gate, it happens to
batch
Gate.
of
Mm-hmm.
it happens. Well, I have my qualms with Gate, but whatever. um, but PTS had this batch of their grips. Everybody talks about their grips being like one of the best ones, and I mean, I can honestly agree because the amount of like quality and the kind of the angle, blah blah blah, whatever, getting technical. But there was like a batch, I think, either mid or late 2024, where motors were not aligning well
Mm.
to to like the grip or anything. Even when you like closed the bottom of the grip, like it would kind of like skew the motor at such an angle that it would
Ouch.
potentially grind your pinion to your bevel gear.
Oh no.
You want to hear something? You want to hear something funny, Prontech?
Uh,
That problem has actually been well known, and we've been trying to tell customers about this problem for years. That's not a new thing, actually. PTS EP, what is it? EPGC? I know exactly which one you're talking about too. That grip, it looks,
I know
it
it's the
looks
beaver
sick.
tail too.
Yeah, like they look sick, but the problem is, you're right. It puts the motor at such a weird angle that it never sounds right. So we'd have guys who would spend, upwards of like $1,200 on their custom work, right? And they'd be like, "Yeah, why does my gearbox sound weird?" And it's like, well, you want this grip on there so bad. This is what's gonna happen. The pinion is striking it really weird.
I mean,
Yeah.
they actually fixed it officially now, but yeah,
It took
I
them
know that
that
was like a
long.
major
how
thing
many
that was
people
kind
grind out
of.
their pinion gears?
Yeah. No kidding.
It's like, oh, that's the
But
12th call today. I think we need to fix this.
But
It's
yeah,
been
I
long.
honestly,
Now.
there isn't much that you need to really add to like some of like the AEGs. Like nowadays, you don't really need to add much to get it to perform just as well as the kind of like what GS has been putting out, right? So like I mean, great on GI for being as transparent as they've always been. I always
Thank you.
say this in most of their lives. So it's like there really isn't much. Um, I'm not one person. I kind of make custom builds in such a way like Ferrari. I would say I don't want to make that analogy, but it is what it is. It's kind of like uh, I'll do it like maybe once, twice. I'll pick up maybe like a few within the year or something, and then build something out.
Mhm.
But I take my sweet time to perfect that motherfucker.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the way you should be done, though.
I tell people, it's going to take me anywhere from a week to 10 days to get the parts. And then once I get the
Yep.
part, I have to tear apart the existing gun I'm starting with. Because to do it from the ground up build, I haven't gotten anybody with that deep of pockets yet. Although I do have one in my prototype folder. But I have to tear that gun apart first, and then I might need to alter the parts that I ordered. They might not work properly, and I have to go get something else. And that requires me to either drive up to the local airsoft stop, which is an hour away,
Mhm.
or I have to order a different part, and then I have to wait again. So giving me the money and you getting the gun, maybe as much as 6 weeks to 2 months. I can't promise, a fast turnaround time because I'm not going to send out junk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or,
that's your
I mean, that's what
livelihood.
real gunsmiths do too.
yeah.
That's your reputation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had guns that gone out. They took them to the field and they broke. And when I asked them what broke, the gears shredded out. Oh, I should have replaced those gears. Here in the mail, a new set of gears. I don't have a warranty per se, but I'm going to stand behind my stuff. But
Yeah.
that's only happened a couple times. I mean, thank goodness one time was local. It was Lucky with a gun I did for him in Orlando, and I had to fix it. And it was
Yeah,
because
the
of a
one time
mistake I made.
the one time that's happened to me, and I mean, I wouldn't say I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna take, I'm gonna take the accountability for it because it's something that came out of my bench, but it it it, it was a failure on the part itself, not so much on me handling it. But like this one like commission I did, it worked phenomenally when I had it. So I go ahead and send it over to a client, and then I think like maybe like few weeks later, I would say almost a month, he starts having issues or something, and I'm like, oh, just send it over, and I'll take a look at it. I'll, s- that for one, it's like, okay, let's see where I fucked up, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and open it up. I don't see any wear on the gears. Um, nothing's where it shouldn't be until I looked at the piston and then I see a seam, like a cracks on the seam of the rack, and I'm like, oh god.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Like I got lucky I identified that because as soon as I pulled out the piston and I was gonna remove the rack, and I bond those things
Yeah.
pretty well with like various different types of methods. Freaking things just snaps
Oh.
Bruh.
in my hands. I'm like, oh my god. It's like if you would have shot this one more time, if I would have shot this one more time, that would have been it.
All right.
And that's why I have a lot of short
Yeah,
little
and then
videos.
and then I went ahead and replaced it, and I made sure that the replacement piston, I made for damn sure that
Yeah.
that rack was gonna be bonded, and there was a bit of I added some bit of like reinforcement of where I saw the seam.
Mhm.
The funny thing is this piston is from a pretty well-known enthusiast shop.
Mhm.
Is it a
And
Kratos piston?
I made no.
Okay.
I made sure to like kind of relay what happened to him and be like, if you're gonna make a revision on this, you, you know,
Yeah.
let me give you a suggestion of potentially what you should be, adding onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like later on, like, I think his latest one. I mean, his latest one is pretty good. I mean, I haven't tested it yet. I have it here, but I need to put it in a build.
The reason why I say
And-
Kratos is actually because I actually no bullshit. I know it's gonna sound like I'm embellishing the story. I was the first person in the world to actually explode a Kratos piston into a million
Nice.
pieces.
Uh.
Because I got it when it was
That is
so
a
brand
feat.
new. Yeah, I
That
got
is
it when
a
it was so
feat.
brand new because I know the guy that actually helped design the Kratos piston. He actually used to work for GI. He doesn't work for us anymore, but I still know him personally, and I see him pretty regularly at Milsom West events. And like we told him too what happened because I was gonna bring it out initially to a Milsom West event, and then at a regular game when I was just doing field testing, I was like, oh fuck, like my gun's not working anymore. And then when we took a look inside of it, it was like, what the fuck did with this Kratos piston break into a million pieces? And then when we took a picture and sent it to the guy, he just started laughing. He's like, okay, I'll send you a new one. I'll fix it, don't worry.
All right. Yeah, that's absolutely insane. But we're gonna move on to our last hot take because
Okay.
we're getting past the hour mark, which is awesome. It's fine. These usually run a little bit longer as long as everybody's still good, on time and everything.
Sorry for
Oh,
yapping.
yeah, I'm good.
No, it's good. That's what these usually end up turning into. It just is a symposium of airsofters, exchanging ideas. But Cutter, you said you had a good one. What do you got?
This one is going to be an unpopular opinion with a very large demographic.
Oh.
And it has to do with what Plasman talked about happening at his field with those guys, and what happened at our field that was taken care of by the refs. Should there be, I'm almost afraid to say it, should there be an age limit of 16 or 18 on airsoft, both due to the seriousness of the sport and the fact that we use replicas that look so real?
Oh
That's an
boy,
interesting one.
dude.
Okay, that's a good one. Actually,
So-
that's a really good one. Gus.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. From personal experience, I have varying opinions on this.
Same.
Because I know mature 12-year-olds and I know immature 30-year-olds. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah.
But,
Oh my God,
the
yeah.
thing is, like I said, these don't look like, 10 years ago, the ones you got at Walmart that were clear plastic and obviously toys with blazing orange tips. Now
Those
they
are
look.
not Nerf guns.
Dude, I've had cops look at these close up and ask several times, "That's an airsoft gun?" Yes, sir, it is.
You know,
You know,
I'm gonna base this opinion on. I'm gonna go with 16. I'm gonna, because this is a couple of things. One, I've seen 12-year-olds at Milsims,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they have a hard time, and they're using full size, like this prime example. This kid was using a full size AK 105,
Mhm.
and
that's a big gun for a 12-year-old kid.
well,
Yeah.
he was a small kid. Like, you could stand him next to the AK, standing upright on the butt, and it's about as tall as he is.
No.
Oh man, that just sounds
And-
like me as a kid.
And it was
Yeah, not even,
one he
not
had
even a PPK 20, man.
yeah, and I watched him struggle with handling it,
Oh.
and multiple times, time after time after time, he had to get told by absolutely everybody who ran with him or he went, did anything with.
Yeah.
Dude, stop blind firing. Stop blind
Yeah.
firing. Like,
Damn.
and to go with that is like other experiences of lots of blind firing, not following corrections or directions, immaturity, like prior to game on field, and I'm just kind of rolling with Cutter on just like, let's just call this out for what it is. I think there's a maturity level now that we're starting to hit that there needs to be I think there might need to be a limit.
I would. Okay, before I say anything, because mine might be a little longer. Anybody else have anything they want to add to that? Does anyone else agree to this?
Well, real quick, there was a caveat to that. The thing that I said was, should there be one? Should it be 16 or should it be 18? In other words, should there be one at all? Like, just no age limit, leave it the way it is, or make a different lower FPS class with smaller guns for a younger demographic. I mean, but that's a whole nother topic unto itself. But I'm talking either age limit or not, 16 or 18, like it, for my reason before.
Yeah, like
Yeah, so that actually brought up something I was
lower
going to say
FPS.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The whole,
well,
lower
because
FPS thing, what's gonna add even more accountability to fields now.
yeah, what I
If
was
that
gonna
goes into
write originally, I had a thing on mine that said there should be like, I go out, I've been to a bunch of different places around, and
Sure.
I've seen regulars at the fields that have played there every single weekend for years, and I've seen people that have never even played airsoft before playing against those same guys, whether they're younger, of the same age, or older. One of the things I was going to say is that fields should have different play times for different like groups of players. Like, it's as fun as it is dunking on rentals. It is a very like it is a really, really, like, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like, if you're in that position where you're the one getting shot to shit by somebody who's been playing for so long, are you really going to want to keep playing?
True.
It's like those younger kids, those newer players, even, maybe those older players that are playing for the first time, like, it's not fair for them to play against, people of my caliber, and I put that in quotes.
Yeah.
But like, I consider myself like I'm an average player. I've had really good games and I've had really bad games, but I have gone up against some very, very competitive people before. Like when we went to Motor City in Detroit, I was playing against some high class speed softers, and I was doing, same thing in Nashville, same thing out in Ohio. And, you can't put like your 12-year-old milsimmer, you can't go up against that and have a fair time. So whether there's a higher age limit can be a question, because some of the kids that I play with, like Paul's son Landon, he was, I think, 14, 15 when he started playing, and he's a fine kid and he's a great player. Same with Matt, same with some of the other kids that I played with. But I think I think it should be divided on skill almost, and kind of where you sit, because it's not fair that you should have to spend extra money to go in as like a rental, for example, and then just the entire day get dunked on by people with high kappas or ESGs or those custom builds we were talking about earlier. So I think fields should have like different time slots for those kinds of players, just so that they have more of a fair engagement, kind of like skill-based matchmaking to a sense, but a lot less frustrating.
Yeah, the whole dunking on the rentals is kind of an unnecessary stigma for airsoft.
That's
I mean, like,
form of
don't get me wrong, it's fun. Like, it's fun having a good game.
It's not.
Oh yeah.
I mean, airsoft should be welcoming and open to anybody that wants to learn and play it.
Exactly.
But like you said, one team being really, really good and the other team being a lot of rentals, they're going to get torn up all day, and that's almost a form of gatekeeping. They're not going to want to come back.
Yeah.
If they get
and
torn up
that
every
field
time.
that I said earlier. Yeah, that field that I said earlier that we had issues with, that's another thing that happened, is our team got stuck with all the newbies, all the rentals, and I'm not going to sit here and say they're bad players, because, they may have never played before. I was a new player one time. I absolutely sucked. Yeah. But, our team got stuck with all of those guys, except for I think like 3 or 4 other guys. And then the other team had all the regulars and everything like that. There was one game we played where and there was like 60 of us out there on this tiny field, and we could not move 2 feet out of spawn without getting shot, because all the guys were already posted up and shooting all of us. So
was that one of the games that we were both at here?
No, this was a place we went to just last weekend.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say that has happened more than once out here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isaiah, do they have an age limit on Milsim West, or can it be?
Not really. You can basically play at any age. I think it's 12. I think is the minimum, right? Like, there's obviously a minimum, right? You have to. You can't bring toddlers to this thing.
Yeah, like Mere Tactical's Milsim's minimum is 12.
Yeah. But I think the minimum age requirement is 12 years old. But at that point, you just have to have a legal guardian basically sign away and be cool with it, right? That's literally the whole thing behind it. And I'll be honest, I've seen some kids. I know you said you saw that experience, right, of that kid that was struggling to carry his like AK-105. I could totally see that happening. But at the end of the day, too, I've also seen guys that are older than me, right? Not be as serious or not be as mature, taking the game itself seriously, not following the rules, not following the immersion. Just they were not the type of person that realistically should be going to these games, because they were never going to take it seriously in the first place. Dare I say, they probably shouldn't even be playing airsoft anyway, considering the type of attitude they were taking, even towards staff and like cadre, like outright getting into verbal arguments with them. No, it was rough.
It was not a good temperament for airsoft. If you have a problem with authority or somebody in a yellow vest telling you what to do, then don't play airsoft.
Exactly, right? So my solution to that sort of problem, because the problem I see when we have like the sort of division in like sort of the age groups and everything like that. And man, I'll be honest, like I'm not a terrible player as well. But like I get where you're coming from, right? The same sentiment. I've had really good days. I've had really bad days. Bro, I've been dunked on by like 12-year-olds, man. Like I'm not gonna front, you know what I mean? Like I've been absolutely had my ass handed to me by some little kids before. And then I've also
been dunked on by rentals too.
Yeah, exactly. some of these rentals, like, you'd be surprised, man. Some of these rentals are like
Yeah.
John Wick and shit. But I think the last thing ultimately that that Airsoft needs is any more division than we currently have. There shouldn't be any division, but let's be real, there is. So the last thing I think that we would need is I guess like an official, like, I guess sort of separation between all the different players. I think instead what we should be doing, or at least should be encouraging, is honestly just better refs and have higher standards for field staffs in general. Like you were talking about the experience that many people have, where it's like a kid goes into a field, goes in with his friends, does a public game, and gets absolutely dunked on by regulars, whether that be Milsimers or Speedsofters, right? They just get absolutely creamed. At that point, it is the field's responsibility to make sure that the teams are evenly balanced. And if players don't want to do that, then they can just leave. Seriously, at that point, you have to follow the field's rules. It's not fun for the other players, and they're losing customers just by not being a regular or not being in the know, like who's who, right? So I think having a stricter field rules, having, I guess, more severe penalties for not, I guess, going along with the field rules, I think that's probably a better way of going about it. Because I've also like assisted parents of some of these kids, man. Like, I've made sales in the storefront way back when, where I've told them straight up, hey, keep this like a real farm. Don't go out in the middle of the street with this. And they're like, yeah, sure. They'll sign the waiver and do the whole thing. And then not like 10 minutes later, I hear commotion in the parking lot, and I go outside, and it's the fucking parents playing with the kids with the guns they just bought out of public parking space. I'm like,
oh my
Oh no.
Like, I almost had a field day with these parents, and these were like 40 or 50-year-olds that I was having to go off on.
Jesus.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, so it can go either way. I really don't believe necessarily that like your age should determine what skill level, or your age can determine where you should be placed. I mean, again, that's me personally. I don't want to say like to a newbie, oh, just get good. But it's the same thing too. There's a reason why they don't have, like, I guess, a separation of ages when you go to like a public b-ball court. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go onto the public basketball court, you're on your own, man. It's up to the community then at that point to help you out. But I also do like the idea, if we had to go that route, maybe having like, hey, like, you know, kind of like what public pools do, where it's like, hey, here's public swim, here's adult swim or night swim stuff, right? Maybe something like that could be done. I would just prefer maybe better staffing in general.
Yeah, that goes back to the good refing and making even teams. Is so you do put like kids with experienced guys. And to give you and Boaz a thumbs up, the little shorts you've been doing about don't do this or do this, you know, help it. No, those videos are showing the positive side of Airsoft and how people should be acting. Don't make fun of people's kits. Don't put people, you know, don't say, oh, that doesn't work, it sucks to be you, and walk away. Don't do that. I mean, if you want your sport to keep going and you want people to keep coming, that'll keep the fields open for you to go to, you have to be open and welcoming and helping these people, because that's what continues the sport. But again, keep teams even, and that goes back to the refs, and then you don't have to have an age limit.
Yeah.
Like, speaking of the shorts, that short where like the, you know, the rental is getting like pinned down or like too scared to move, dude, that brought me back to that one night event that I did, where like one kid was like, he looked pretty scared. Yeah, like, you know, hiding behind cover. I'm like, hey, you okay? He's like, oh, I don't want to get shot. It's like, no, it's like, no, it's fine. Yeah, you're seeing like the BBs fly, you know, tracer rounds like going, and he's like, no, I'm too scared. He's like, no, I got you. Okay, what I want you to do, I want you to go to the cover over there. Okay, I'm gonna keep firing on them. I'm gonna cover you. You just, as soon as you hear me, flip this, like, you know, flip it to full auto. I want you to sprint it over there, and I'll meet you there if I don't get hit. If I get hit, stick to cover, peek, get a couple of shots. If you get shot, well, just go to spawn. It's okay.
Part of the game.
Like, but I'll be right back. If you're still in.
That's like a core memory, dude. You just like unlocking like childhood for me right
now.
Out,
it gets lit up.
Which probably will happen. It's probably gonna happen, but it's still the idea that like, hey,
I ate dirt. I ate dirt, but I mean, I made it.
It's the fact that you can still turn to the guy next to you and they'll be like, oh, hell yeah, no, I got you, bro. Don't worry. It doesn't matter like what experience level you are. At the end of the day, you're going to be a good player. You're going to help them out. Especially if they're a little kid. Dude, fuck that. I'm not going to let a little kid like start like getting like sad or like, you know, scared or anything like that. Hell no. You're going to work with me, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was there with his brothers, and I think his two Like he had like two
Fucking left
brothers,
them?
and they were on the, no, they were on the on like the far like east side. Like they went on their own. This kid
Brother.
like stayed there. I'm like, dude, I
Come
was like,
on.
your brother's pinned here. What's wrong with you?
Come with me, man. Come with me.
But you know,
I'll be your big brother for this one.
and I do, and I do like the kid swim time idea essentially.
Mhm.
But yeah, regardless of even like the bad or like the somewhat bad experiences with younger players, it's still I've always been out to grab kids and help them out and bring them along and make sure that they're included and welcome. Because
And as we've all talked tonight, age does not equal maturity.
no, because
Yeah, no, 100%.
No.
I have, and like we've all said, we've run the gamut of people older and younger that have
Yeah,
completely flip flop maturity levels. So
Yeah. Well, the other thing too about age and what we were talking about too is, I mean, I started playing when I was 20, so it's not like I was super young, and I'm not super old either. But the tricky part about it too is you only get better playing against better players.
Yeah,
Like if
no,
you play
seriously.
against people of your same skill or lower than you, like you can have fun, but you're not going to necessarily get better. You get better by being humble. And like I mentioned before, when I went to Motor City in Detroit, like I was playing against some really high level players. I came out with like my entire arms were bruised, and I had just at least 100 welts on me. There's no MED there and everything. It was great. But at coming out of that experience, like changed me as a player. And now, like, I don't care about getting hit. I've taken everything that you can possibly take. Was that G&G shotgun that does like the 5-round burst or whatever?
EB10, yeah.
yeah,
I took that point blank. I took a Saiga point blank at Nashville, walk it off, but like that's not something that you
I
start
got friendly
with.
fire by HBA.
Yeah.
Had like 10
That's
feet.
not that's not
auto.
something you start with, hopefully, but it's something you're eventually going to have to go against. But playing against people that are your level or less than you isn't going to prepare you for that.
no, not at
Yeah,
all.
it's like challenge yourself or kind of
Yeah.
risk desensitizing yourself.
It's like
Yeah,
any physical
exactly. That's a
activity or
great
any
way.
sport. You're not going to get better if you only go up against. No one who wants to be a little fish in a big, you know what I mean? Or what's the expression? Big fish in a little pond.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
Like
not
you
trying to be
do-
the fastest kid in third grade. I'm kind of over that.
And-
Yeah, like
and-
if that is something that I feel like people really do want to aspire to, then I'm like, man, you're a loser, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in the best way possible. Like, not trying to be offensive, but like, you're a loser if that's the case. Like, go out, try to better your skills. Literally, I suck. I seriously suck at playing like SpeedQB. I've tried it so many times, and I'm terrible at it. But I will say this:
I would get tore up. I wouldn't last 2 minutes. I mean, I started Airsoft when I was 49 years old. I'll be 57 this Saturday. So the little speed QB rabbits running around, nah, they'd tear me up.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
They tear me a
Like,
new
I'm
one
done-
every single time.
I'm done being the sweaty in COD, and when I used to play Titanfall 2, I'm done being the sweaty there. I don't want to do that in real life, okay?
Bro, I love
It's fun,
Titanfall too. But going back to that, like, even though I suck, and I tell this to everyone, and every milsimer that thinks they're hot shit, right? Because they spent $300 on a pair of cry pants, I tell them, all right,
Yeah.
go to Tac City, go to Project N1. I'll meet you there. We'll play, right? I kid you not. Every time I'm gonna go play at a Milsim West event, specifically at like Georgia Air Force Base or like any sort of urban sort of type of environment where it's a lot of like room clearing, I will practice at an indoor field like weeks beforehand just to make sure that my skills are like, okay, I'm at least on point, I'm faster, I'm quicker, and every time I go, I perform way better than I normally would without it. And I think that's something everyone should be able to like be willing to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's,
I agree.
That's.
I think some of us even practice at our own homes. If the house is empty, right?
I do.
Your girlfriend tells you to go sweep the kitchen in your own.
You're there like doing like the siege, like
Yeah, just back and forth.
back and forth.
And in prime tech,
I need you to act like a hostage.
Just doing it in the house, like shoot house training, which that's what that is essentially called, which is like what you're talking about, Isaiah, is shoot house training. that is literally the best way to get better. It like is the constant running through the motions. It's the muscle memory. It's the
Getting used to the weight of your, of your kit.
Yep.
I got real good at room clearing with a 249, man.
Good.
You got the build for it.
Now, but, whatever.
So every time someone hands me like a lightweight HPA gun, I'm like, what the fuck is this? What kind of nerve gun did you hand me?
Yeah, that's how I learned to shoot with my left hand too. I learned to shoot offhand from having clear rooms in CQ. Because like my first time I ever played was an outdoor field, but I really stuck to indoor after that. And like, that's how I learned, is just through the room sweeping and everything like that. So I can go out to other field. And I think what makes an airsofter a skilled airsofter is their ability to adapt to different fields. Like you can play at your home field and know every single angle and you can be the top dog there, but you can go somewhere else and get creamed. And I don't have a home field, so I have to travel a lot.
Which is something I think a lot of indoor players, and you obviously being the exception, but I feel like a lot of indoor players could also take a lesson from you and actually go out to different indoor fields.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to a handful now. I've been the one in Milwaukee, went to Detroit, Nashville. We went to 3 in Ohio, and the one we used to have in Davenport, and. I've gone up against players who go there all the time who only play at that specific field. I mean, I used Paul gave me his high kappa. We played a Sunday in Ohio. I almost dropped 100 kills with it in I think 4 or 5 games. So, and that has and part of it was because I've only played the field once, because we played there Friday night. We were supposed to play a different field on Sunday, but that field ended up not working. So I can go in to, I don't have to know the angles. I don't have to know the engagements. I just know how to play CQB, and I can dominate the game.
Yeah.
And it's all learned through. Yeah, it's all learned through necessity. Like I had to learn that, because if I didn't, I was just gonna get killed over and over and over again. I learned it through the amount of, like I said, when I came out of Motor City, I came out a changed player playing against those high level guys, and you learn how to do it. Yeah,
you sound like a spokesperson for a born again Christian organization.
Yeah, that was my airsoft baptism.
Yeah, baptism through fire.
Yeah, 100%.
It hurt.
Into the BBs and you became a changed man.
It hurt.
Well,
but yeah, no, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had too.
Yeah.
But the reason I brought the age limit thing up is somebody said it at my field. I overheard somebody say at the field, they don't have an age limit on this thing. Keep these kids out. And I was like, no, that's an unpopular opinion, so I'm going to say that.
That was said with some malice behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, somebody probably doesn't like kids, or I mean, the whole
too many kids in my immersive experience.
He probably hit respawn one too many times.
like the teenagers in the South Park episode that didn't like the kids.
Bro.
Bruh. I ironically say "bro" too much. It's not okay.
I do say it too much. It's not okay. I keep saying it unironically too.
Okay, so we got one more hot take, and it's coming from me.
Okay.
And this was actually inspired, and I've looked into this myself. I've done my research across a whole bunch of different YouTube channels, and large-scale YouTubers are setting an unrealistic bar by making fake content.
Yes, 1000%.
Maybe I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
Now this is from Plasma and I after he was on as a guest of month or so ago here on the channel. We after the show we talked for a bit, and he confirmed some things that I suspected about one YouTuber. But larger YouTubers get special privileges. They get access to areas that nobody else does, as well as they have gotten rule changes specifically just for them.
Oh yeah.
As
I
well
can
as
tell you
Scott's
something that
Scott's
happened.
ready to hear this.
Yeah, he's ready.
Yep. But I can and I can confirm from my experience as well in seeing one person that we've talked about. I'm not gonna name drop anybody because
Yeah, no.
no, they have
Oh,
crazy
sorry.
they have crazy numbers over me, and then my channel get destroyed. But I'm gonna flat out. I'm just gonna say it's. I'm seeing them set up videos where they get to go do this cool stuff in a certain area of a milsim stuff, and people will see it and be like, "Hey, cool, I can go do that," but no, they can't because it was limited
Yeah.
to like this small group, or people intentionally setting up videos to make them look better and pulling off these impossible shots and being completely hidden, or all these crazy things. And I think it sets unrealistic expectations for what especially newer players can get out of the sport.
They think they can do those things because they've seen it on YouTube and they just can't, and then they're discouraged.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember the first time I went to the haunted factory at Kankakee. You can go up 4 or 5 levels, but they don't allow you up on the roof. But then you see this one YouTuber who's up on the roof shooting people down from there,
Mm-hmm.
and
I
learned
heard
that
about that.
yeah, it's like I get that your job is literally making this type of content, and so like I get that part of it, but like we went to Sheboygan last year during the fall, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of same thing happened. They set up a game mode specifically up on the roof of the asylum, which they previously allowed nobody to go up to, and the objective was we had to go up and take out the guy that was up there. Well, our guys were on the floor on the bottom. They were shooting him. They were throwing grenades up on the roof and everything like that. And the referees were like, "Yeah, that doesn't count. You have to physically come up through the stairwell to get him." And
Not
so, like, I spent $150 on this ticket, drove all the way out here, just the same as all these other guys that you got all this money from. But because this one guy gets that special privilege, the rest of us don't get to play. He gets an advantage over us. He doesn't have to play honestly. He doesn't have to play with
Mm-hmm.
that level of integrity that we were all expected to show. So, and it's like I don't get to travel for my job. I don't get to play airsoft for my job. So
that's
I spent
almost
all
the
this
level
money,
of
and
pay to win.
yeah, it's like disrespectful almost.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree.
It's like
Yeah.
the
No,
deception with like Hollywood movies, where they go full auto on a 30-round mag and they're like throwing down
God.
100.
Yeah.
I would say that there definitely is. There's a whole iceberg to like YouTubers and airsoft, right? In terms of like the effect that they have on the community. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to like the same thing. I don't want to drop any names, but I know exactly what you're talking about because I've seen it. The worst part is I feel like when the content creator in question decides to implement their own rules without even at least talking to the ref to see if this is something that they can do, and just decide, well, I have to get this video made, so I'm just going to go ahead and do these things. Again, this person is a very, 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 very well-known content creator. I'm not going to say any names because, again, I don't, like you said, Squirrely Nuts, their channel is like, over here, I'm like really, I know you can't see anything, but I'm like really down here. So I would not be able to compete with that. They say one bad thing about me and it's like, it's good night, the lights for me. But
Right.
I do get what you're saying about that. And I would have to 100% agree. If field organizers, or I guess event organizers, are willing to do that, basically scam their player base out of a equal fair experience just for the sake of assisting this one guy with a YouTube video,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just for advertising, because that's at that point, right? It's going to be like advertising. He's doing this because he wants to like sell his vent and everything. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But at the same time, you're really doing a huge discredit to everyone that just paid admission for your event. And I would not blame you if you never went to that event ever again, or went to anything involving this guy, seeing if though that's how he does business. I also would say too that it does set these guys are setting a little bit of unrealistic expectations for how they think their airsoft experience is going to go, what they think that these airsoft guns can do, in terms of their performance. Because even though they'll say like, oh yeah, I have this custom gun, right? It's like a one and done custom. It's a one of a kind. No one else is going to have this, right? kids will still come into the shop and be like, "Oh, do you have this custom gun?" I'm like, no, that's a cute cat, by the way. They'll still ask us for like, "Oh, do you have this custom gun? Do you have this person's custom gun?" We're like, "No, that's like a one custom that was made like once." And then people are like super disappointed, right?
Yes.
Or they think that all guns should perform this way, especially sniper rifles. I'm sure you can guess from just by saying sniper rifles, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, he was. I'm. That was part of the benching when I started this too.
Yes. And I don't want to discredit him either, because again, like I've actually met the dude that in question, right? I literally have talked to him like quite a few times. I saw him at MOA. I saw him at SHOT. You know, like we've not hung. I don't want to say hung because we're not like friends or anything. But like I've seen him. He's come into like my place of work before, like to like business meetings and shit, right? But and he's a nice person. Like I don't have anything against him personally. I don't agree with every decision he makes. And I know that he is there to make content, and that's, you know, how you get yourself out there, right? You promote yourself like a Hollywood movie. But I do think that at the very least, a lot of these content creators should have a responsibility to maybe put a disclaimer, maybe either at the end, maybe at the beginning of the video, saying like, "Hey, I don't know, like this is clearly a work of fiction." So I know it sounds kind of weird to say that or admit that, but I don't know, maybe.
Like,
that makes sense. Like a disclaimer saying, "Hey, look, some of these shots were set up."
Well, and it's like certain small scale airsoft milsim events that have been set up for that specific purpose, like the airplane raid, the oil rig. They state in their videos, this was a special privilege thing that we got to do one time.
Yeah, I'll always take the event that I got to do, the Operation High Tide, the one that took place on the aircraft carrier. Yeah, that was once, and that was it. It's never happening again.
That video is what got me into airsoft. Like seeing that is what made me be like, "Wow, this looks awesome."
Dude, it was sick. It was so cool. It was a mess. It was chaotic as hell. Not organized. It was not handled well. But goddamn it, was it cool?
Yeah, I'm a fucking aircraft
As far as you were talking about organizers, I think if the organizers know that a YouTuber like that is coming, they should tell the people buying the tickets. Like, look, this particular YouTuber is a special guest. I mean, announce them that they're coming. Some people might think it's cool they get to meet that person, but they have to understand with the caveat, they will have their film crew there. They will be doing this, blah, blah, blah. They're filming for their channel. So you coming to the event, you understand that that's going on and anything that goes with that.
Yeah,
you're gonna be Hollywood.
That
would be fair to your. I think that would be fair for the organizers to tell the people, because that might bring more people, depending on who it is. I mean, like, cool, I can get shot by him. Woo! You know, whatever.
We didn't know that guy was there until Saturday. They were like, "Go up to the roof and kill him," and we're like, "What about all the other objectives we've been fighting for? Like, what happened with that? You know, what's going on with that?" But none of us had any idea he was there.
That's a surprise, and like you said, people already laid down money that there's no way they're getting back.
It goes from a milsim event to like a comic convention.
Yeah.
It's an autograph signing event.
Yeah, they all want
a meet and greet.
And that's the thing too, was with this particular instance, is that I heard this guy was like, you know, people tried to come up and talk to them, and they tried to come up and say hi, you know, and he was just completely like, did not care. He didn't want anything to do with the people that were his fans. The reason why he has that job, he wanted nothing to do with them. And he avoided all of them, and he wouldn't talk to any of them and whatnot. And it's like, I get the kind of like fatigue around that. Like, I could understand that could be really tiring to deal with all the time, but you're also in that position where it's going to happen, you know?
Yeah, you're describing this makes it very clear, at least to me, who you're talking about. I know exactly who you're talking about because I've had the exact same. I'm not going to say names, but I know exactly who you're talking about because that is every single time I've interacted with this person, he has been this way. And I know exactly who you're talking about. It's nuts because he has such big numbers and he's such a big name that it's like you would expect that, you know, he would, you know, be more willing to interact with, you know, his fan base at the very least, be like, you know, say, "Oh, hey, what's up?" Or, "Oh, hey, cool to meet you," or, "Oh, appreciate the watch." You know, something quick. It doesn't have to have a whole conversation, right?
Yeah.
but just something, to show at least appreciation for the support that this guy is clearly getting a lot of. I've
Right.
met so many people that have met this guy, had one interaction with him in person, and then were like, yeah, I'm never fucking talking to this person ever again. Never meet your fucking heroes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I'm not even
think
at
maybe in
1,000
the
subs
7
yet.
years,
But
in maybe the 7 years I've done this, I've had a total of maybe 4 people come up with they see my name on my, cutter across my plate carrier, and they're like, "Your cutter?" I've had that like 4 times, and every time I've been cool with them, no matter how tired I was. You have to. If you're seen in the public eye by 4 people or 4,000, you can't. If you're that jerk, like we've said before, this airsoft community. 5 people give you bad reviews, and you're done, dude.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And too many people jump you, and too many people look at your stuff and go, "Hey, that person that was right. You're done. You can get cooked in this community fast." So, and be nice, be welcoming, like the videos that you guys are putting out.
I've tried to get better at it, like with interactions too. And it's not like I've ever been like a jerk or anything. I've just always been very scared because I'm always thinking in the back of my head, "Oh fuck! Like, how does this person know me? What do I don't think I owe anybody money or anything."
in Cutter was just like, in my experience, I've only had like 1 or 2, and it was just at the local field, and some kids,
Same.
recognized me from videos or seen me around on the field or anything, and came up and said hi and stuff. I will always, 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 always entertain somebody who recognizes me or comes up to say hi.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm here for. Like, I'm doing this to help the community grow and be a better thing. If you ignore your fan base just because you think that you're above it,
no, you lose them.
nah, dude. I don't care how many numbers you're gonna put out. It's eventually
You're an
gonna go the
asshole.
you're eventually gonna go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I always
I've had a
like
few
got
people
really
recognize
scared
me.
too, because I have like a little bit of social, like, not like, I don't say I'm like socially anxious, but I'm just very socially awkward, and I'm always like overthinking, like, okay, did I come off as like, too ambitious? Did I come off as like too over the top with them or anything? Did I not like nice enough or anything? I always overthink that shit when I interact with people.
Yeah.
I've gotten better at it, but I still feel like a little bit like awkward. My one request, because it's happened at Milsom West this last time, I ended up taking pictures with this guy randomly who killed us, which was pretty funny. It's happened a few times at Fields, but I'm still waiting for the day that it happens, because it actually happened to Boaz in the best possible circumstance. He was at the beach hanging out with his, well, now wife, he's married now. He was hanging out with his wife at the time, and this guy randomly, like full-grown adult, comes up to him and is like, "Oh, are you Boaz from Airsoft GI?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so right in front of his girlfriend, on like in the middle of a date, like somewhere, nowhere near an airsoft field, and he was asking for pictures. I was like, "God damn, why can't that fucking happen to me?" Like, I want it to happen in front of like Jazz, and I want it to happen like in front of Jazz's dad too. Like, I don't know why, like her whole family. If we go out, if I take him to a restaurant, I want the waiter to be like super, super like fanboying over me just a little bit, and like ask for a picture, so that way it makes me look cool in front of them. I'm not gonna lie, that's the one fantasy I want.
We can set that up. I know people. We can set that up.
We can make this happen.
No, we're not.
Hey, just plan to crash at his wedding and just be like, "You're Isaiah's from Airsoft GI."
Oh my god, not at the wedding, brother.
I mean, what better spot?
That'd be weird. At that point, I think I'd have all types of problems, because the wedding that we're gonna have is gonna be like incredibly private and like small, like invite only in a very, very private spot. So if someone recognizes me there, it's like, oh shit, I got stalkers.
All right, I need an 8-man squad in multicam black with flashbangs.
What the?
Sorry.
You're gonna raid my wedding?
Cutter, don't give me too many ideas. This sounds like a good, fun plan.
Hell no.
That would make for a
Hey,
good video.
If the cargo van's available, I am willing to drive.
You do this to me, I am putting like fucking black mambas in all your mystery boxes.
Hey,
Have fun with this, fucker. Have fun unboxing this asshole.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh man. That is absolutely hilarious.
If there was a time limit, I think we definitely went over it.
Yeah,
That's okay.
it's fine. I don't with these with the Council of Airsoft Dude videos. I don't try to restrict it to like an hour because these conversations can get long winded as they are. But
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's
We-
5 of us talking, so
yeah.
you got to make
But-
room for that.
Does anybody else have any last second hot takes that they might want to throw out real quick?
I got something I want to throw in.
All right, what do you got?
Uh-oh.
Not really a hot take, but I don't have anything bigger or better to trade. Stop fucking asking me.
I think that's more of a personal rant.
I see those shorts where it's like, I'm a BB and I train him up to this HPA, and then I get a kid out there
Oh
that
my
like a little springer.
Of all those kids that are trying to replicate that video, man.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, no, I don't. Fuck off. I don't.
Yeah,
I spent a lot of money on my
Whoa.
stuff. I'm not trading it for a spring pistol.
Oh man.
I did have one kid contact me once, and he said, "Hey, you make customs?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What can I get for $150?" And I sent him a link to a high kappa on Airsoft GI.
Oh,
I'm like, dude,
There you go.
Yeah,
he didn't know because he didn't know. He didn't know the cost of stuff. He just didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
maybe it was a troll, you know?
I mean,
Yeah, it could have been. But
Yeah.
yeah, to caveat on that little rant, I'm kind of sick of seeing that over and over again.
Thankfully,
Oh,
we haven't really seen it too much on our end over here on the West Coast. I haven't really seen too many guys going up or kids trying to pull that shit off. I think it got old real quick.
Yeah, I
really,
think
honest.
when we went to a
Honestly,
Milsim event
I-
last year, and we had the same kid come up to us like 3 times.
Bruh. He didn't learn
Yeah.
his lesson.
Oh.
No, and
Sometimes you gotta say no, son.
yeah. Like, no, look, I
SpongeBob
used to
meme.
work a full-time job. Like, I'm in school now, so I don't. But, like, I used to work a full-time job, okay? Like, my stuff, I get new stuff very infrequently. And when I do, it's stuff that I love and I want to take care of. And I'm not going to just trade it for next to nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the replicas I do have, like, I use all of them pretty semi-regularly. Like, I don't have anything that just kind of sits around. I use my stuff because I paid for it. That's money that I invested into it, and if I don't, it kind of is just a waste. I don't have the ability to waste right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So-
yeah, and prime
Yeah, like I
example,
personally.
I was gonna say a prime example of I spend a lot of money on my stuff. My Archon, if I wanted to resell that thing right now with everything I've done to it, that's a $650 build.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, seriously.
100%.
Yeah. And you're not gonna
And
get.
that's how I
the
did
shit.
minimum. For my personal one, it's almost there, and that's how I did the minimal.
Yeah, no, this is like that SpongeBob
Yeah.
meme with that kid, right? It's like, all the freaking all the old people, people come up to him and say, "How many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man?"
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like anything that's on my kind of like my little pegboard wall panel, like those are like the keepers
Yeah.
or the work in
Yeah, my guns
progress.
have
that it's like,
sentimental
okay,
value to
after,
me.
yeah, like after I put in the work on them, like I don't know if I'm gonna let that go or not.
Dude,
Yeah, no,
the
I
problem
have-
is for me is that all my guns are like that. All of them
Yeah.
are like, I'm not willing to
I
sell
have a
anything.
couple on my wall I could sell right now, but there's some like the first MGC4. There's only 86 of those. Yeah, I'm keeping that. You know, and my SR25 that I won from Airsoft GI that I've now put 3 times its value into it. Yeah, you'd have to come with a lot of Benjamins if you want that.
Yeah, and the funny thing is
Uh,
I even have a pair of Springers that I will not trade.
Sentimental value, right?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
They serve a purpose. It's actually they actually came in a case and everything, but it's a couple of little cheap Springers, and on the case I have written dispute resolution.
Oh my gosh.
So I figure I carry that with me, and anytime there's an argument over a called hit or whatnot, I suggest dispute resolution. Dueling Springers.
That's actually pretty clever.
Dueling Springers at 5 to 10 paces.
Gentlemen's duel.
Honestly, since we're having like discussion, I might as well just like kind of say like the little hot take on popular opinion or whatever. Like I kind of had this like typed out. So like referring to like AEGs and GBBRs, just this is solely based on like the research and the bit of development I've helped out with. Everything's the same. It's all personal preference after the purchase.
Yeah.
Yeah. To an extent, I'd say yeah.
Yeah. I would agree to also that to a certain degree, yeah.
I mean, like if we're talking about like different guns, right? Different categories. Like there's some things that you can do with.
I
I mean, you can physically do with
half-assed.
some gun, but like
This
you know what I
is
mean, depending on the
half-assed,
field
but yeah.
rules. But yeah, like depending on the field rules and stuff that you have, like yeah, there's gonna be a big difference between obviously buying your standard M4 AEG versus buying like an LMG or an MMG, right? Like especially the field that you play at, if they're actually allowing you to go full auto with it, there's a reason behind it, right? Obviously behind that purchase, but in terms of just overall, yeah, I mean, it really is ultimately boils down to just personal preference and what you think is cool, right? I mean, what's the fucking point of buying all this stuff and getting into this hobby if we don't at least like what we buy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I got my
It's when
AK-12.
people on Facebook post a picture of something and they say, "Is this good for my gun?" And a lot of us ask them, "Do you like it?"
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you
You
think it
know?
looks cool? Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
If you think
Okay,
it
well
looks
then it's
cool,
cool.
then slap that on your gun, man. If other people think it looks ridiculous, well, that's their opinion.
Yeah.
Hey,
100%.
man,
Yeah.
opinions
You
are
never
like
know,
assholes. We all got them.
Maybe you
Yeah.
never know. Maybe a replica that you've I'll say personally, I love the P90.
Same.
But playing with the P90 is totally different. It personally, I loved working on it. I love holding it. But playing with it just didn't fit my playstyle. And I mean, sometimes you can even fall in love with a particular model or platform that you didn't expect. Like right now, I'm kind of crazing about like the SR16, which
Oh, okay.
I mean, I didn't expect to like it because it's just kind of like a generic AR. But it's like I don't know what it is about it. But
Who's watching Blade right now?
It's
Sorry, I keep getting a phone call. I think I got to bow out, guys.
No, you're good,
Okay.
dude.
yeah.
I got another airsofter friend to take care of, and I will see all you later. But this has been a blast.
All right. Thanks for
Absolutely,
being
man. All right,
on,
man.
Cutter.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
I'll talk to you later, Squirrel. Bye.
And then there were four.
Yes.
The Four Horsemen.
Oh. I actually there's a hot take in the chat real quick. Let's
For
go
Mr.
through it.
Scott.
Yep, Mr. Scott Hollenbeck from US Airsoft says, "My hot take, if you're accurate at 250 feet or even 200 feet, you'll be fine at most fields."
Yeah. Well, yes, 100%. I agree.
Yeah, totally. There's no disagreement with me on that. People that are kind of accuracy whores, like accuracy whores with distance, with airsoft, to me is kind of a waste of time.
It depends on the person, right? Unless you're actually
too.
rocking like a sniper or like DMR class, right? There's really, I mean, you could really chase those numbers if you want, right? It's like you live in a metropolitan area and you're trying to have something with over 500 horsepower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dare I say over 300 horsepower? Is there really even a need for that?
Yeah, but also like just basic range with airsoft is like within that 250 feet.
Most
Like-
engagements are going to happen within 100 feet.
Yeah, unless like I haven't been to Milson West, but I've seen plenty of videos and know people and have
That's a
heard
different
like,
animal.
and that's the thing is like how if you're gonna chase those like long distance numbers, how many times like unless you're cruising Milson West events, and you're gonna actually be hitting those distances, how many times are you actually gonna use that?
Yeah, no, I know it's. Ballistics are very different from real firearms to airsoft. It takes a lot longer for a BB to travel 200 feet than it takes, a round of like 5.56. So it does kind of seem a little silly when we look at it introspectively.
Yeah.
And I would say for the vast majority, like 200 feet is like more than they'll probably ever realistically be able to hit a target accurately.
Yeah.
Right.
I just love the argument of like people adding on to the Magnus effect. It's like, well, okay, that's one effect that happens onto the BB. You have to also consider the Coriolis effect. You know, your position in the Earth, all that
Mhm.
crap.
You can't say the Coriolis effect without giving me flashbacks to Modern Warfare, dude. You're taking down the
It's
Coriolis.
it's a real thing though.
Oh, I know, 100%. But every time I just think, man, I'm with Captain McMillan right now.
I'm
I'm
not
not
just
a
speaking on
Merciless
my
fucking
ass
Russian.
to the COD fans. I'm being serious. You have to take into consideration of your location and environment.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
That 0.32 gram BB ain't gonna act the same way as you are in South Texas as you are over in New York. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's true. That's why there's such a big discrepancy between the performance of guns in Asia versus when they cross the water into the United States.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Because it like granted, like you can think about it with like TM makes their stuff to spec to Japan spec. There's a reason because it's different.
And even then, you could make the whole thing of like,
Different
yeah, but what
velocity.
part of Japan? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Osaka is very different compared to Hokkaido.
Yeah, wholeheartedly.
I have family in Japan right now. And it is a completely different environment to the last time I visited them when they were living here in the States.
Oh wow. Yeah. But okay, guys, I have had you now on for 2 hours. I don't think I'm gonna keep you any further. We've had really good discussions, good hot takes, good subjects. This was a blast. I appreciate every one of you for being on the show. And
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, taking the
Yeah,
time.
it's been fun.
Yeah,
A lot of fun.
appreciate it.
So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, and I'm gonna say, guys, just remember we got the Task Force Shrubbery Meetup event. If you got tickets to Operation Blacklist, an event by Mirror Tactical up in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, April 12th and 13th, come on out, say hi, get your special limited edition you can only get from me, Patch, for being part of the Discord and showing up at a meetup. And you get to play Airsoft at a really cool AO in Abandoned Insane Asylum, and have a great day. So that's coming up, and also we got more gaming coming up on Monday, so I will see you guys then. Until next time, guys, never ever forget your battle cry. Nee!